Okay, great. Great. So it's 7:02 and here we are. Good evening. I'm Joe Butler, president of the Pcdo, and I'm pleased to welcome you to our very special meeting this evening. I'm particularly pleased to welcome Mayor Janice Mironov, chair of the Mercer County Democrats, who have joined us as co-sponsors for this event. Mayor Mironov, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. I joined President Joe Butler and the PCDO in welcoming all of you to this great event tonight. And we're very grateful in Mercer County for the terrific partnership that we've had with the PCDO and the really very special energy and passion that they bring to politics and to involvement. So it's always a great pleasure to be here together. And I must add, while I have the moment, we're also thrilled to have so many great guests tonight, and particularly to have our very own Senator Cory Booker, who has really made all of us very proud in this year. And I'm just going to indicate as well that, you know, his recent words, I think, have never been more important at this most decisive and pivotal moment in our nation's history. And when we truly all will make history in the next month and a half, which were that we must fight harder than we ever have. Our democracy depends on it. And tonight is a loud call to action for all of us here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. I also would like to thank the Princeton University Democrats for joining in support of our event. We miss you in Princeton, and we hope that you'll be back soon when it's safe for everyone to be here, and we will be meeting in person in the not too distant future. I also want to give a shout out to the Democrats in Action from Princeton High School. It certainly is your future at stake, and so we're delighted to welcome you as well. Heather, proud mother, would you like to say something?
I would, thank you. We've already got some great questions actually from some high school students. So,
great.
So maybe you can remind folks about how to submit questions so that when the senator joins us, we're ready.
Perfect. Yes. Anyone in the audience can submit a question to forum@princetondems.org. And my former council colleague and PCDO Vice President Heather Howard will monitor the emails and also help us moderate the conversation with Senator Cory Booker. And has Senator Booker checked in yet?
I think he was wrapping up an event.
Oh,
looked like there he is.
There he is. There he is.
Great timing.
Oh, great, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I know everybody's very, very busy this time of year.
I just came from West Virginia. my night of zooming around the country trying to beat Mitch McConnell and keep Nancy Pelosi in her seat.
Perfect. You know, the president has threatened that if Joe Biden is elected, you will be dispatched to suburbs all over the country to wreak havoc among suburban women, which turned out to be a pretty important key demographic in this election. And so we appreciate that you've been able to turn the tables on him and become a internet wonder with your blue jeans. We get to see you everywhere. You just need to rotate that outfit.
I appreciate that. Andrew reached out to me and said, yeah, I can come hang out at his house in the suburbs anytime, especially in the winter when the driveway needs shoveling. So, hey, Wicker, I appreciate that.
Come on, Senator. Anything you want.
Princeton would love to have you. And I should introduce Assemblyman Andrew Wicker, who we're delighted to have join us. And he's going to be talking about the election specifically in New Jersey a little later in the program. So thank you.
That's great.
But, you know,
it's great to see Janice. It's great to see Missy. And I will tell you, Heather Howard, it's always great to see you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, all the kidding aside, it's hard to know where to start this conversation in such a difficult week with the passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, passing the 200,000 deaths from COVID-19, the outcome of the Breonna Taylor investigation, and now the president's remarks about kind of the new threats to the peaceful transfer of power. I'm just wondering, what are you thinking as all this is flashing in front of us, and where are you concentrating your attention?
So I have this belief that if America hasn't broken your heart, you don't love her enough. This is really a heartbreaking stretch when you have 200,000 Americans die. And in New Jersey, we've seen horrific deaths amongst our elders. We've seen our first responders, starting first with Israel Tolentino, but we've lost firefighters, police officers, we've lost medical professionals. It's just a grievous time. And amidst all of this, we see the painful reality that America's an outlier. We have the highest death rates of any country, and it's a result of a failure of leadership at the top. And we also now see, as this election comes, we see things we just haven't seen before. And I had a Judiciary Committee hearing earlier this afternoon and just told the chairman, Lindsey Graham, this is not normal. This has never happened before. We have a president who took an oath to uphold the Constitution and now has openly attacked it by saying that that he cannot guarantee that there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power, that he is committed to that. He has said that if he loses, conclusively, he said that the election is rigged. And so this is creating an environment where the president openly calling for the military to come out to polling places, where there's online ex-military groups organizing right now, as a lawyer who briefed me earlier today told me, where we have frightening things going on with a president who seems to be openly toying with election legitimacy, and has already attacked the legitimacy of institutions, from the post office to the CDC to the FDA, corrupting their scientific integrity. It is a really, really difficult time. And so I just want you to know, first and foremost, that I don't take this lightly. I'm working really closely with Senate colleagues and others who are really concerned and trying to play out every scenario. The lawyers I was working with today, one of the top election lawyers in the country, who was just featured, I think, in a major periodical, we were talking about the various issues going on to secure the election, the lawsuits that are going on right now to battle back what Republicans are trying to do to make it more difficult to vote and to make the absentee ballot process more difficult. And so there's a lot going on. But I want to keep everybody focused on what is most important for these next 39 days, which is winning big on November 2nd and doing everything we can to make sure that it is not a close election. And we know across this country right now where the Biden campaign is and many of our Senate races is, that we could actually accomplish that. And so, as I told people on Morning Joe this morning, we've got to turn our fear into fight. We've got to turn our worry into work. We've got to turn our agonizing into organizing and mobilizing. And here in New Jersey, we have a lot of ways to do that. Number one, making sure people like Tom Malinowski go back to the Senate, to the House of Representatives, and keeping our other seats as well. And we've also got to see what we could be doing for neighboring states. For Biden, I did a big GOTV turnout rally on Zoom in Pennsylvania. Well, all of us should think about what we can do on that swing state. I was on Twitter today as I was driving up from DC here to Newark, calling out to people with Brian Schatz from Hawaii. And the last time I checked, we raised about $75,000 for Mike Espy, who now, according to the last public poll, is within the margin of error to win a seat in Mississippi. And so this is one of those moments where things are in our hands and we all could be doing something, and we cannot allow our worry to overcome our desire to do that work.
So, Senator, you mentioned that you're on the Judiciary Committee, so you're well situated to talk about the fight over replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And can you give us any hope? Are there any strategies that you're all going to be able to pursue to delay so that that seat can be filled by somebody appointed by somebody duly elected by a majority of Americans?
Yeah, look, what is hope? I mean, I learned here in this neighborhood in Newark that hope is calloused, hope is worn, hope is scarred, hope has been dashed, and hope has to be resurrected every single day. So is there hope, Heather? It's slim. It's really slim. We have about 4 or 5 colleagues that still haven't announced where they stand, and we could try to appeal to them in the same way that we, not just senators, but the public appealed to and got John McCain to change his mind. So we still have to play that. As far as the procedural toolbox that we have, it can create delays, but it cannot stop them from doing this. And so we're going to do everything we can in the Senate Judiciary. It could be some lightning might strike, something might happen. But this is something that is speeding forward, which gets me back to the point I made in the last answer, which is the only thing we have to do if we can't stop this, the only thing that means we can undo the damage is to win both the Senate and the presidency. Then we have a whole suite of options, of things that we can do to secure a bodily autonomy of women in America. We have a whole suite of options of things that we can do to try to preserve the Affordable Care Act, or if this president has his way, reestablish the Affordable Care Act and expand healthcare and tear down the cost of prescription drugs and more. So I just want to get people to really be focused on the urgency of every single Senate seat that's up right now.
So it's so great you could join us tonight, because we're kicking off, the Princeton Dems and the Mercer County Dems kicking off our virtual campaign headquarters, where we're going to be sending out people to work in all these elections. So it's so important, your clarion call. We can all help, right? In addition to getting you reelected, just remind us what we can help across the country, right? Everybody can play a role.
Yeah, look, everybody can play a role. These Senate races, adopt a Senate seat or two after you support, and thank you for saying that, Heather, and make sure I get reelected. Take nothing for granted. You all know there's only 2 ways to run for office: unopposed or afraid. So start at home, like I am with Andy Kim and Tom Malinowski and of course Bonnie Watson Coleman. But let's go around the horn. We got to make sure Mikey Sherrill gets reelected. We have a really tough race in southern New Jersey with Van Drew. We've got to make sure Amy Kennedy wins that race. So I'm starting at home. I'm raising lots of money for our state party and our coordinated campaign and all of that. But then, as you know, tonight, guys, I have one more New Jersey stop after this. Then I go across the country. I started the night in West Virginia, and I'll end with a major Biden event. And we've all got to do the same thing. So if you can adopt a Senate race, maybe you like Jersey so much that you're going to, I don't know if you all know, there's 2 people from New Jersey running for Senate. There's Mark Kelly, who grew up in West Orange, New Jersey, a fellow big ball guy who's running in Arizona. Maybe you want to support the Jersey boy. Maybe you like people that can tell stories about me that are embarrassing for my law school days, and you want to help Jamie Harrison, who I was at Yale with, who's an extraordinary guy that has Lindsey Graham worried, if not panicked, because he's running such a good race. Find somebody and help them. And by the way, money is not the only way. A lot of these folks have, I mean, what Beto O'Rourke, I did a big effort for him. He's got this incredible system where you can get on the line and call Texans and help them. They're identifying voters who often don't vote, and they're calling them and they're befriending them and they're getting them out. Beto's operation in Texas is amazing to me. My significant other runs Voto Latino. They have an incredible rates. She founded Voto Latino. They have incredible rates of getting Latinos out. There's a lot of things that you can do. The key is to find something to do. Do not sit around on November 4th or 5th with some narrow, where we only got 49 seats and we lost a Senate seat by 1,000 votes. Don't sit around and say, gosh, I should have done something more. This is not a moment where you need to do freedom rides and get beaten. This is not a moment where you need to do voter registration like Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner, where it can get you killed. This is a moment, though, that you have to meet this moment, this moral moment, by putting all of your effort into it.
Can you talk a little bit, you touched on it, about the night of November 3rd. Trump has already started to signal that he will maybe put pressure, start to call the election at a point when it may be advantageous for Republicans, start to cast doubt on the outcome of the election or the validity of the election. Mitch McConnell made those peculiar remarks, I think, today, saying he supported the peaceful transfer of power, but at the same time talked about November 3rd, which was aligned with the president's remarks and indicated that he might equivocate. Do you feel confident that Democrats have the legal firepower to fight this on a state-by-state basis?
I do. I'm going to switch seats here. Let somebody sit down. You want to sit here? Okay. I have a friend here that wanted to say hello, but
We
so
love friends.
and so to just answer this question really on point is, I don't trust them now.
No.
With what's going on with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and this has only happened once before, where somebody died this close to an election, and they had the thoughtfulness not to put somebody up, and that was Abraham Lincoln, who didn't nominate a Supreme Court justice. I don't trust Mitch McConnell, who has been first, he choked off Barack Obama's ability not just to make judicial appointments, the incredible length at which just executive appointments. I still remember the incredible head of the EPA. She waited twice as long, or some extraordinary amount than George Bush's nominees were treated before that. So let's start with the idea that they're going to grab for power, raw power grabs anywhere they can. And we need to anticipate every single one of their possible actions and put together a plan to stop it. And so there are a lot of groups, a lot of lawyers, a lot of experts trying to anticipate their moves. Some of the stuff I see going on out there is, again, I don't want to get too far down legal traps, but this idea that legislatures, Republican legislatures, could seat their own electors. Some of this is the Supreme Court precedent that a governor, like in Michigan, you have a Democratic governor, that they can actually veto these things. So there's a lot of analysis going on that is preparing for that moment. But I just want to keep emphasizing over and over again, that's our worry. And if you want to help with the DNC's legal team, they have an incredible team there. All those things. If you think you can do something about it, my mom used to tell me worrying is like a rocking chair. You go back and forth, but you don't get anywhere. So if you think you have a strategy to help with what's going on the other end of this election, then yeah, do that. But most of us have to focus on this election. And I'm sorry to keep coming back to that, but if you have another dollar you can give to win in Montana, which has less population, I think, than Bergen County, that's how narrow it's going to be. The money I was just raising for Mike Espy, I know we're in New Jersey, it's so expensive as hell to get on TV. $100,000 gets him on TV for a week in Mississippi. North Carolina, Cal Cunningham, my dad's home state, there is a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done for us to win there. So please get folks involved. Get folks involved. Everybody, this is our newest New Jersey resident.
I just donated to Mike Espy.
Yes. Rosario has just moved from LA, where? To Jersey.
Jersey strong. We love it.
Strong. We're registering her to vote. And she is already, I did a Zoom fundraiser for all the women, or 6 of the women running for Senate. Amy McGrath, Teresa Greenfield, and my girlfriend sitting next to me, maxing out to every single one of the women. Because
they're so great, and we got to hear from them especially, and it's really powerful what's happening with these Zooms. It gets to be so much more personal in a lot of ways than some of the big rallies and events and stuff like that. So I mean, when you get to hear these people's stories and what's at stake, it's I'd rather my business manager be mad at me for spending too much than being mad at myself that I could have done more.
And what are organizations like? There's a few of them that you trust, like Voto Latino, which you founded, but there's other organizations that are doing really good things. If you're stressing or worried, I talked about what Beto was doing in Texas. There's ways to help on a lot of fronts. Some of them are 501c3s if you want to do that. So that's why finding what most resonates with you, whether it's like Rosario and giving directly, you want to see more women in the Senate. There's a lot of, former fighter pilots, and there's just incredible women who are running. If you want to see more diversity in the Senate, I told Kamala when she was leaving me, I'm so happy to see you go, but why are you leaving me as the only African-American in the Democratic caucus? Well, we've got 4 African-Americans running for Senate seats right now, and they're within Raphael Warnock in Georgia, within reach. Espy we just talked about. So there's a lot of, find out what really gets you going and help those folks. The DNC has a voter election day protection unit. This is scary. I don't know how many people know this, but it was 1981, one of our elections here, you all remember, where they had people showing up with armbands. I know Heather Howard wasn't even born yet in 81, but they had armbands, and they were intimidating at our polling sites in New Jersey. That turned out to be a federal case, and a consent decree with the Republican National Committee had to do a consent decree where they were prevented from doing so-called poll watching. That consent decree ran out this year. And that's why the RNC is now organizing bands of people to do poll watching again. Now, we are doing some lawsuits against some of these groups using an act called the Klan Act, because the KKK was trying to do that kind of intimidation. But the DNC is getting ready for Election Day to make sure that in communities with high minority populations that are already suffering, the average Black time to wait in many states is like an hour compared to the average white time is often 10, 15 minutes in many states. That's how bad it's gotten in many Republican states. But we are doing a lot. Find your way of getting involved and do it, and go hard, go strong. Don't leave anything on the sideline.
That's great. Heather, do you have a?
So, I mean, you're giving us such an important charge, but this pandemic has really shined a bright light on our healthcare vulnerabilities home in New Jersey. And we're really worried, can you give us some advice on pre-existing condition protections and what we should be thinking about in terms of making the case that healthcare is on the ballot? Is that something, I think that should be one of our top talking points. Healthcare is on the ballot. Do you agree? Or?
Right. First of all, Heather, I don't know if you heard, I ran for president last year. And, if I had won, you might have been in danger of being the secretary of HH&S in my cabinet, because you were such a healthcare professional.
Next time. Yeah.
Next time, okay. But in all seriousness, so there's a case called Texas versus California that's now being pushed by the Trump the Trump Justice Department that will reach the Supreme Court. If they manage to seat their Ruth Bader Ginsburg replacement before oral arguments start, that will seal it. President Trump, who was told, believe him, take him seriously and literally, that he has said he wants to tear down the Affordable Care Act. Well, that will seal it. In the middle of a pandemic, you will see the Affordable Care Act overturned. We are in a pandemic, and the fragilities within our healthcare system have already been exposed by this pandemic. I think the insanity of having your healthcare linked to your job doesn't really help you when economic downturns where people are losing their jobs left or right. And we know, many of us know, how expensive COBRA is. So we have a broken healthcare system, the most expensive on the planet Earth, and we get the worst outcomes of any industrial nation. And I've had some really constructive conversations with Joe Biden about this, about how do we begin to massively expand coverage, lower costs, including prescription drug costs. And I'm very hopeful for what this president will do, but we have until January to get through some very scary months. And right now in New Jersey, as you know, our hospitals are hurting very badly, very badly. We are having challenges even with our with our community health centers. So look, we're fighting. I had the last conversation I had before I jumped in the car to drive up here was with a fellow senator about, is there any possibility we can get a COVID package done before Election Day that could get some relief to our state, our hospitals, our state government, which has to run critical operations for health and well-being, for local towns as well. So I am very frustrated with my country. I have to say that where we have systems that now people are falling precipitously into the cracks. Millions of Americans are illness, disease, or injury in a pandemic away from losing their health care. And last point, and I'm sorry to get into the weeds, but I was enraged and got very upset on a call with the vice president that we have not even done a new open enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act. I mean, it's crazy. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Let New Jerseyans who've lost their job enroll in the Affordable Care Act, but they won't even do a special enrollment period. That's how callous they are. It's just like those remaining Republican governors that won't expand Medicaid. It's that kind of callousness to human life and well-being.
Really, it's difficult to understand. We're getting the high sign that they're going to pull you from our conversation, which I'm sorry to hear, but I do want to thank you. Really, we're so grateful that you made time on your busy evening to stop by. I was going to ask you a quick question to tell us something we didn't know already about Kamala Harris, since she's your close colleague in the Senate.
Well, I will tell you really quickly, and you're smart because my people are yanking me, but I want to stay here in Princeton.
You're welcome.
So I'll tell you, Kamala gives very funny text as she was laughing at me this morning on Morning Joe. Look, she's a beautiful human being, and maybe in this time, I have to say that counts for me more than it ever did before. I want my president to be decent. I want my president to be honorable. I want kindness, to us to celebrate that human virtue. And Kamala embodies that. She and I have been through tough fights together, but she has a great sense of humor. She doesn't take herself too seriously. And she's just got a goodness and a decency about her. Her and the vice president will make an incredible pair. I'm telling you, you just saw Rosario, one of my favorite moments in the presidential campaign, because we were all together a lot. I spent a lot of hours with these folks. And Rosario was filming something, so she wasn't going to my debates, but the first debate she could go to, she flies in, and I'm very happy. And I'm walking into the debate with her, and Joe is walking in with his extraordinary soon-to-be first lady, and he sees me, peels off away from his significant other, goes to me, kind of faux pushes me out of the way, puts his arm around Rosario, and they walk off. I'm like, literally, it's like almost debate time, and he's walking off with my girlfriend, and they're like going at it to each other. They're both smiling, laughing, and talking intently, and I'm just standing there. What is going? This is surreal. And then they walk back. He very ceremoniously puts her hand in mine, and then he walks off into the debate. And Rosario just is shaking her head, and she goes, "Cory Booker, that is one great wingman of yours." And so I want you to know that there is a sweetness about Joe as well. I got to know him he's the kind of guy that I would lock horns with on the debate stage, telling him he didn't know the flavor of the Kool-Aid or something. And then backstage, he'd be putting his arm around me and telling me how worthy I am of being president of the United States, and how he loves my proposals. He loved my baby bonds proposal. And the fact that he could know about that proposal impressed me in and of itself. So we have two really good human beings running, and God, let's make America kind again. Please, let's make America kind again.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your note of optimism. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome in Princeton anytime. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm coming to the suburbs. Show my driveways.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
I think we have Congressman Malinowski. Yes, no, maybe so. We might not yet.
Well, Joe, that was amazing. I think that was an important charge for us, and that was really inspirational.
I wonder if we have just a second, Andrew, if you'd be willing to pop on and comment on some of the things that he said about the election and where we stand in New Jersey.
Sure. I'm seeing a note that says Tom will be here shortly. So, I'll be brief, and we could talk about some of the details later if you want. But New Jersey, you heard everything that Cory just talked about. New Jersey is set up to be a real role model for how to do an all vote by mail election and do it right. And just so people know, and I think most people know this already, but all registered voters in New Jersey are going to receive a vote by mail ballot. You don't need to request it. Postage will be paid on that already. I also want you to know that the deadline for registering to vote, and we need to make sure we get everybody who isn't registered to register, is October 13th, and you can do it online now. We're going to have about 50% of the polling places open where you can choose to vote provisionally. If you have a disability, that will mean you will be able to go vote by machine. And we're putting drop boxes all over the state. And so you'll have an option to either mail your ballot in, and if you're going to do that, please do so early. You're going to have a chance to drop it into a box or hand deliver it. So I see the congressman's here. So I'll just give that as an overview, and I can go into the details after your conversation with him.
Good. Thank you so much, Andrew. I am going to ask you when you think the New Jersey, you don't have to answer me now, but be thinking when you think that the New Jersey ballots will all be counted and our election certified. So we'll come back to you on the flip side. Congressman Malinowski, thank you so much. I'm Joe Butler, president of the PCDO, and I've got my partners in crime here, Mayor Janice Mironov from the Mercer County Dems, and Heather Howard, vice president of the PCDO. Thank you so much. I know you're on the circuit tonight, and we really appreciate your taking time to jump in and spend a few minutes with us. I guess I'll start by asking, after this horrendous week, they're all pretty horrendous, but this seemed especially bad. As you talk to voters, has there change in sentiment? What are you hearing on the ground, or do you feel it's moved the race at all?
So, of course, on the ground these days is Zoom, for the most part, unfortunately. But yeah, I've been talking to a lot of folks. We actually did a Zoom forum on the Supreme Court a couple of days ago that we invited everybody in the district to join. Every day people are more anxious. That's to be expected. I've been telling folks for months that this is going to get dicier and dicier until Election Day, and perhaps for several days beyond. We have a president who is not running for re-election. He is trying to hold on to power in ways that remind me of countries that I used to lecture and berate when I was in the State Department. We're going to be experiencing that, and these guys are going to do everything they possibly can over the next 40 days to make this as chaotic as possible. But you know what? They're scared. That's what I sense. That's what's going on in the Senate right now, is an expression of fear that a minority party is going to be losing power at the ballot box this November, and the Supreme Court, in their view, may be their last insurance policy against that. So I don't think we should feel helpless or hopeless here. I think we should feel confident. And what we should be doing is driving home one of the key messages that the Supreme Court fight helps us to drive home. And that is that your healthcare is on the ballot in such a real way this November. Because the reason they're doing this is they want to, one of the reasons is they want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. They want to deliver that favor to the insurance companies and to their big donors. And with Justice Ginsburg not on the court, that is unfortunately a likely outcome, that the Supreme Court will strike down the Affordable Care Act. Even a 4-4 split, as you may know, strikes it down because it upholds the lower court ruling. And so the only hope, if you want to keep your health care, is elect members of Congress and a president who will help you keep your health care and who will reinstate something like the Affordable Care Act when that happens. Roe versus Wade now, absolutely on the ballot, because if it becomes 6-3 and they get the person who I think they're going to nominate, there's not going to be any more games on this. They're going after Roe versus Wade. It becomes completely up to the US Congress to decide whether that remains the law of the land, because we can pass a law that makes it the law of the land. So I think it makes a lot of the issues that we've already been talking about more real to voters. And that's what we've got to stress. I'm upset about the norms that are being broken, and we can talk about that too. But what wins this election is how this drama affects people's lives. And that makes that argument's even easier to make.
You're in a very tight race. Do you feel that there are people to win over at this point, or is it a get out the vote effort predominantly?
What the polls tell us is there aren't that many people left to win over. Now, there may be people saying one thing and they'll be persuaded to change their minds, but there's not a lot of undecided voters around the country or in New Jersey or in my district. And so it is going to be a turnout battle if that remains the case. And probably, you know, we may draw in the turnout battle because everybody's energized right now. And, you know, all we can do is make sure that our folks do turn out, that they know they have multiple ways to vote, that they have confidence in the system, and ideally that they vote early. You know, thanks to Assemblyman Zwicker and others, we are going to be counting the absentee ballots early in New Jersey. Thank you. This is not going to be the case in Pennsylvania, which is going to give us all heart attacks on the night of November 3rd. But at least in New Jersey, we're going to have that. So I want everybody to start voting now. My ballot's waiting for me back home when I'm there on Saturday. I'm just going to do it. So that's a message we have to get across. Just do it now. Get this done. Get this done, so that we don't have that anxiety in the days after November 3rd.
Congressman, let me pick up on that thread. Tonight, we're kicking off the PCDO virtual headquarters and partnering with the Mercer County Dems. And I know a lot of people in Princeton are really invested in your race. How can we, and are so proud of the work you've been doing, how can we most help you?
Well, it's not rocket science. It's a close race. And unfortunately, we're going to be even more dependent on paid communications this time than we were last time because of the pandemic. Makes it a lot harder to do person-to-person voter contact. So, you know, I don't know if you guys are seeing the ads in Princeton.
Did you just hear Heather?
You know, I don't know if they're the cable ads are reaching across the district line, but right now the national Republican super PACs are directing more money at my race than any other race in the greater New York area, and there's some other really tight ones. For whatever reason, they think they've got a winner in Tom Kean Jr. I think they haven't really seen him campaign, but they know his name and they know his network, and they think he's got the right brand for the district. So they are flooding the zone with money, and that money is paying for the darkest of dark negative attack ads, basically a cross between Willie Horton and QAnon. So we've got to be on the air full time to be able to withstand that and to keep the race where it is right now, which is, I think, a very slight lead for me. So, you know, you hear this all the time, but, you know, we do need the resources. We have a whole series of really great fun events that we will share the details of with you guys. And then, of course, part two, also not rocket science. You know, I don't know how much door-to-door we'll be able to do. I hope we'll do some, but however we do this, we're going to need those volunteers to be texting and calling and writing postcards and potentially also doing some door-to-door. And, you know, my team can help you sign up. I see Lisa Mandelblatt from my team is on the chat, and she can share the details.
Right. And we have it malinowski4nj.com, and we will send out an email blast to our membership tomorrow, but people can go there. You have a fabulous website though. Yay, there it is. You have a fabulous website, and people ought to go just if they want to see a really good website. So, but especially if they want to donate and volunteer. Heather, you had a quick question?
Yeah, just if you have time for one more question. We've seen
Sure.
you and our fabulous Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman in the House have been passing a lot of great bills that are stalling in the Senate. In particular, you know, the COVID relief bills that would help the unemployed, help people with healthcare, help our state budget. Do you have any hope, or you see any signs of progress on Congress moving on COVID relief?
I still do have hope. You know what, I mean, we passed the HEROES Act, our bill. It now seems like 20 years ago, but we knew that more was going to be needed, and McConnell stalled. And now there is, I think, a pretty clear contrast between the House pushing for legislation that helps people, and McConnell trying to pack the Supreme Court. And I want to maintain that contrast and use it to get the damn thing done and to actually get us some COVID relief. We are negotiating. You've read some articles about negotiations stalled, non-existent. That's not true. The speaker is in daily contact with the administration. In the House, we have solid bipartisan support for many of the things that we will need, including the state and local aid that New Jersey and all of our towns desperately need. There is, there was a bipartisan agreement recently, 25 Democrats, 25 Republicans, for a $650 billion state and local relief package, which is what McConnell has been blocking in the Senate. So we're going to do everything we can to try to increase the pressure on McConnell in the last couple of weeks. Speaker said we shouldn't go home until we get something done. I agree with that very, very strongly. And, again, that's what voters in my district want to hear. They want to hear that we're trying to get something done for them at a time of great need. And I think they can see that McConnell is much less interested in that.
He's a menace. One quick question. On the Sunday morning shows, Speaker Pelosi indicated that there might be some arrows in the quiver to procedural things you might be able to do to delay the possible nomination of a replacement for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Is there more you can say about that?
Yeah, that kind of blew up, that statement. And, now we're hearing, actually the Republicans are trying to make some hay that we're going to impeach Trump again in the next 3 weeks.
You're not?
I think we're going to impeach Trump again in the last 3 weeks. I agree with the speaker that he's impeached for life. And, right now, the thing that matters is the election. Everything, our country depends on this. I don't need to explain why that's the case. And so I think every move we make for the next 40 days has got to be focused on winning this election. McConnell has the votes to do what he wants in the Senate. And it should make us angry, but my personal view is we should not be obsessing about some orchestral maneuver in the dark that's going to, that's somehow going to stop McConnell from using his power in this way and focus all of our energies on taking away his power. That's what this election is about. And if we can do that, we can fix what he is breaking. We will have a lot of options next year, including on the court. And I'm willing to go places on the court that I would not have been willing to go before this happened. But right now, let's focus on winning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I see we're joined by one of your colleagues, Congress. Thank you. And I know you have to run. So we appreciate so much you're taking time and keep up the good fight. And we're here to help.
Thank you. Thank you. I know Bonnie needs you. Bonnie knows that I need you. And Bonnie.
And I need you, and you need me, and we need each other.
We're all one big congressional district right now.
That's right. That's right.
So let's get us both to a place where we can actually do some good for our constituents and the American people next year. 40 days, we can do anything for 40 days.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
Good luck.
All righty. Good night.
Thank
Bonnie.
you.
Right.
Welcome, Congresswoman. Our very
Hi,
own
Joe.
Yay, good to see you. Heather
Thank
Howard's
you.
on. We've got Mayor Janice Mironov is with us and Andrew Zwicker. It's Old Home Week.
Hello there, Chairwoman and Assemblyman, my friend. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Congresswoman.
Hey, Congresswoman, great to have you.
Thank you.
I feel like I go after you all the time lately, so. Yeah.
Well,
It's
we
a
got a
tough
good
spot,
tag
and that's a
team
tough
going.
spot to be in.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you had a very interesting conversation with Tom, and you probably He probably covered all the tough questions. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. And I was listening, and he told the truth, unlike the president. So, that's a good start too.
I did have the benefit of hearing you kick off the county's efforts was that last Saturday, Janice, a week or so ago?
Yeah.
Yes, sure. And I don't know if I'm happy to listen to you talk again about what you think is at stake in this election. You were eloquent, and I don't think we can hear it enough.
Thank you, Joe. I think my issue is that I get very animated when I think about all the things that are on the table right now. And it just seems to me that the more the president threatens to smash our democracy, the more dangerous it becomes and the more animated I become. It's good to see Heather, and I don't know everybody that's on here because I can only see this small group, but whoever's on, thank you for taking your time to being here. Well, I think that all the important things are on the table. Fundamentally, democracy is on the table, but healthcare is on the table. A woman's autonomy over her body is on the table. Civil rights, voting rights, LGBTQ rights, all of those are on the table. Reestablishing a decent relationship and a leadership relationship with our allies is on the table. Making sure that our enemies know that we know that they're our enemies. That's on the table. Looking at the regulations that this administration has rolled back regarding climate issues, environmental issues. Environmental issues are very much on the table here. And honesty and integrity is on the table. I think that we've never, ever considered how dangerous and malicious a presidency could be. I think that, having been around for several decades, I've seen presidencies that I was not very happy with. And I've seen situations that I thought were taking advantage of people who needed to work for a living, people who were the middle class, but I've never seen anything like this. And the racism and the perpetuation of violence across this country is just, it hurts me to my heart. You can't turn the TV on, you can't even look at anything on your social media platforms without seeing either the rights of innocent Black men and women being abused, or and their deaths in many cases, or the incitement of rioting while there is these peaceful protesters are trying to bring attention to the inequities of the system and the situation. But I believe that while this is a very troubling moment, it also is a moment of opportunity. This moral moment has become a movement. And I believe that when you look at the diversity of demonstration, the demonstrations that just sort of started even last night after the Breonna Taylor disgusting finding, it just, people have had enough. So now what do we have to do to make sure that we protect our democracy and that we support one another? And as Tom said, it's about the turnout. It's about having such a robust turnout and have so many people vote early that those ballots are counted on election eve, and that there is such a sea change in the desire for the presidency of the United States that this president doesn't get a chance to manipulate, to cheat, to steal, to force Republican governors to do illegal things to support his election. He basically said that if you throw out the ballots, it wouldn't be a problem, and there wouldn't be any transfer of power either. I mean, because he says these things out loud, it doesn't make them any less illegal, right, Heather? They are still illegal, and they should be very alien and hurtful to one's ears. And it should be motivation for getting out there and doing what we have to do. I am encouraging people that the moment you get your ballot, fill it out, put it in a Dropbox, take it to wherever you need to take it, put it in your mailbox so the mailman can pick it up or the mailwoman can pick it up, but just do it. I try to tell people, remind people that those who were not eligible to vote before because they were on parole or probation are now eligible to vote. Go get that vote. That is our vote. And I ask that we remind people that if you're not registered, but you are engaged and you are inspired to have your voice heard, you can register up until October the 13th, right online. It can't be made any more convenient for you. And thank the governor and the legislature. Voting is easy for us. And being able to open the ballots, to count the ballots before election day means that on election day, you will know who voted to a great extent. The more people that vote early, the more ballots get to be read that night. And so our campaign, our team has engaged in, that the virtual campaign we did 2 years ago, where we had volunteers come in and do volunteer work, calls and tasks for people in the red to blue districts. Well, we're planning on doing that again. And if we are going to get a chance to align with someone else doing it, then that's even better. The bigger, the better. I know that we have to make sure that Amy Kennedy takes that second district. And then we've got to protect Andy Kim and Tom and Mikey Sherrill and Josh, all of them. We can do it. We've done it before. We're generous with our resources and we're generous with our time. So I want to thank everybody on the call and everybody associated with PCDO. Thank you, because you've always been so good to me.
Well, Congresswoman, we couldn't be more proud that you're representing us. We really do appreciate your coming. We know you're on a tight schedule, and I think your team's going to yank you in just a minute, but we're going to get a chance to hear from the mayor and from Andrew about what's going on in New Jersey. But before you go, you have a big event coming up Saturday. Do you want to say a word about that?
Well, we're going to announce what we envision as sort of our virtual blue wave effort. And it's at 10 o'clock, and you go to our website, bonnieforcongress.com. You can do many things on that website, just saying. Yes. But you can certainly sign up for to be a part of it. We've already reached out to a number of people. We've got a good number of willing volunteers who are going to work with us until Election Day. We're just not going to leave any stone unturned. That was a successful effort 2 years ago. And it'll be a successful effort this time.
Thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you Saturday.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Mayor.
Hey, great. Thank you, Congresswoman. And thank you.
Our marching orders.
Thank you.
And that's where I'm going. So it was great case made by Senator Booker and Congressman Malinowski and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. So everybody now should be well motivated if you weren't before. So I'm going to talk about what you can do because I think that the advice of all of the speakers was consistent, is that we need to win the presidential election and the congressional races, and we need to win them all big. So we in Mercer County are committed to that blue wave effort, and want to talk about some of the ways that you can get involved and help out. I'll talk generally for a minute, and then we'll get to some specifics. So if you go up to the Mercer County website, we'll show you that in one moment, you can volunteer. There is a sign-up form We've been sending it around. It's in my weekly or twice a week messages, and you'll get the web address in just a moment. You can sign up and you can tell us what you want to do. Some people are comfortable doing calling. There we go. Okay, so go to the mercerdems.com website. So some people are comfortable doing calling. Some people prefer to do texting or prefer to do other types of activities, postcards. So you tell us what you want to do. There, we also ask you, what race do you want to get involved in? We are doing assisting in Pennsylvania with the Biden campaign. We're also assisting in the blue wave congressional races and of course in our own county. So let me go through those for just a moment. So we have a core group that we met and we focused on which races people felt there would be the most interest in. So because Pennsylvania is right next door, and Pennsylvania broke our hearts last time around, along with Wisconsin and Michigan, and of course by a very small margin. And I just have to tell you, because when you sign up, you'll get the orientation. The polls in Pennsylvania are closer than several of the other battleground states. We also looked at the polling from 4 years ago, and it showed Hillary Clinton winning Pennsylvania 4 years ago. So we think that Pennsylvania is a really critical state. So and it's right next to our neighbor. So we are partnering in Pennsylvania, and right there you can see every Wednesday at this point from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. you can join us in virtual phone banks. There is an orientation. So the next one is September 30th. So if you've not done it before, don't worry. You can get on and we will orient you. You'll get training. You'll learn a lot. It's fun. And what we're doing in Mercer County, because of the COVID, we don't have a headquarters. We're not going out together canvassing, at least not right now. So we want to bring people together. So you'll sign into a Zoom room. I've been on the last 2 Pennsylvania calls. You'll see all of us there and some of your friends around Mercer County. You'll get oriented, you'll get trained. And then the way it works for Pennsylvania is we have an automatic dialer system. So once you get trained, you'll plug in, you'll set up your phone, and the system literally will start cranking out phone calls. And then depending how many, when we were on last night, Wednesday, there were 24 of us that were on. So we were pretty pleased with that number, making calls. So it'll crank it out and you'll get the call and then you'll jump on. All of the information is on the screen, that the person's name, a little bit about them, and then what you need to fill out. So it's really, it's not complicated. You can do it. And again, we'll teach you everything you need to know. And so the next one again is September 30th. So that's one option. We're also going to be doing text banking soon into Pennsylvania as well. We wanted to start with the calling. So if you're not comfortable with calling, please sign up, volunteer. We'll get you on to texting. So there'll be a place for you. And, even if you watch TV now, they'll tell you, we need to win everything. We need to win everything big. We need to win the Senate. But the focus on Pennsylvania is becoming enormous. In fact, a lot of the commentators are saying now that if Biden wins Pennsylvania, he's going to win the presidency. So you can really have a meaningful contribution and involvement by signing up there. So the other thing that we are also, of course, doing are the blue wave congressional districts in New Jersey. And when you sign up on the volunteer form, you can choose what you want to be involved in. We have set up right now with Congressional District 3 with Andy Kim's campaign. We do have virtual phone banking every Tuesday, 5:30 to 7:30, so that the next one will be on Tuesday, September 29. Now, we did jump in with Congressman Kim. We have many challenging races in New Jersey. We want to win them all. We don't want to compare them. But you may remember that he won his race by a razor 4,000 votes 2 years ago. And there are on some of the scorecards, he's certainly considered one of the really difficult races this year. So we certainly want to make sure we bring everyone across the finish line, but we did get a good cooperative arrangement with his campaign. So we have set that up. We are open and expect to be doing work for Congressman Tom Malinowski. We're working that out right now with some of the Princeton Democrats as well. So we're happy to add that. And frankly, we're actually happy to add any other activities that people want to do. If there's a great feeling that we want to do something for Amy Kennedy's race, we're willing to set that up with Mercer County Democrats so that we can do it together. We can identify a time to do it. We can do something important, but feel like, we're trying to recreate the feeling that we used to have when we did it together in headquarters. The other race, of course, I do want to mention is the Congressional District 4. That is we want to take out the last standing Republican in New Jersey, Chris Smith. Stephanie Schmidt as the Democratic nominee there. And that is right now they're doing virtual calling events as well. And those are every Thursday at 7 to 9 p.m. So the next one there will be October 1st. We're also going to be doing some postcard activities soon with the Kim campaign and any of the other campaigns that want to set those up. And I mention that again because we want you to sign up on the volunteer. Sign up, sign up, sign up. We will match whatever you're interested in doing and your time. And if we need to add times or postcards are all you can do because you can't do it till 10 p.m. at night. And that's what you're able to actually access at that point. We want to make a fit so that everyone can feel that they have had an opportunity through the Mercer County Democratic Committee to meaningfully engage in the upcoming campaign. People have asked us if there's going to be any door-to-door canvassing. Right now, we don't know. I do know that the Biden campaign, the Pennsylvania campaigns, that people are thinking that maybe it's a possibility. And again, if that's something you want to do, check that off on the volunteer form and we will keep you posted. I don't know that there'll be, but it is a possibility. So whatever it is you want to do, you want to put signs out, we'll get you signs and you can put those out. We are coordinating with the other campaigns. I just met this morning with the Booker campaign. I've had several conversations with Congressman Bonnie Watson Coleman. We do want to work together. We want to coordinate our efforts, but we do feel really strongly as the Mercer County Democratic Committee that we want to bring folks together. We want to do it together. And one other comment I'll make is somebody who's done a lot of campaign work in my time. I think when you have a given time, I know we're all self-starters, but I think there is something to discipline you when you decide that, every Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m., you're going to do calling, you put it on your calendar, you're going to meet up with other people. I just think it's a motivator. So you have in front of you, isn't that wonderful? So we have crafted in Mercer County for Biden-Harris sign, and it's actually been a partnership with the PCDO. These are available for a $10 donation. You can go up to the Mercer County website, hit the button. It'll take you to the appropriate page. I will tell you that they are going. So if you want your sign, I'd suggest that you get up there and make that order very soon before they're all gone. Open to any questions that anybody may have. And again, I can't stress strongly enough, please sign up, volunteer, whatever time you can give, because, as everyone has said, you don't want to be here on November 4th and think, what did I not do? What could I have done? Because, I'm not going to give the preach because I think we heard it, but I know we all feel it in the pit of our stomach. The kind of world that we live in is, it's us. We're going to make history in this election, and it's about what we do. So please join us.
Thank you so much, Mayor Mironov. You know, you've really done a great job in pulling together all the municipalities across the county and really sort of beyond. Tom Malinowski is not in Mercer County, but you know, you've generously offered to support his campaign as well. And I want to reiterate, I think you're willing to do whatever it is the volunteers, whatever anybody wants to take up, whether it is the postcard writing, whatever race it is that float your boat and you want to get involved in, they're more than willing to help you do that. They also have an excellent website. It's clear when you go there what the opportunities are. You'll find something that's in your time frame and suits your style. So I would encourage you to go there. I want to give a quick shout out to Jean DeVoe and Sam Weiss in Princeton, who organized a call for Biden on, I guess, Tuesday night, and we'll do so Tuesday nights locally as well. It's really great. There's a combination of newbies and experienced people, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it turns out to be a lot of fun, and the camaraderie, it's not quite like having a headquarters, but it's the best we can do under the circumstances. Assemblyman Zwicker, are you ready to get in the weeds on voting?
I am ready to get into the weeds on mail-in ballot and voting. I got mine in the mail today.
Joe, can I jump in? Because we've had a couple questions that maybe can help. We've had a couple questions submitted, Andrew. People concerned that maybe voters don't understand that it's going to be mail-in and don't understand why. So can you give us some context on when we can expect things, and are there public relations? You know, are people going to be notified? Give us some context.
Sure, Heather. So we passed a package of bills last month, and the governor signed them all. What it does is codify some of his executive orders that says New Jersey's going to an almost all vote by mail election on November 3rd. If you're a registered voter, you are going to get your mail-in ballot. You don't have to request it. It will be showing up this is earlier than I expected. It literally showed up this afternoon.
That's a real ballot?
That's a real ballot. There will
not
not,
a sample.
right. There will not be a sample mailed out. The ballot you get will be the actual ballot. And it's marked on the envelope. This is a real ballot, official mail-in ballot. So this is not my sample. This is actually my ballot, my 2 envelopes. All the instructions are over on the desk next to me. The motivation was to protect poll workers and to protect each other because we're in the middle of a pandemic. And, you know, Tom and Cory and Bonnie have all talked about it. You know, the attack on our democracy and attack on VBM by the president is just relentless. So we are going to do everything we can to ensure that in New Jersey, every single vote is counted. Heather, specifically in that package of bills are lots of different provisions, including that the Secretary of State is going to start a public relations campaign about what you need to do, where to get instructions, the telephone number that you can call once you've mailed your ballot in or dropped it in a drop box. There's a telephone number and a website, so you can call or you can go onto a website to find the status of your ballot, see if it was accepted. And if it wasn't, then we have required the County Board of Elections to notify you in under 48 hours why it wasn't accepted and give you, depending upon the reason, up to 14 days to cure it, you know, to fix your signature, to address whatever that is, again, to make sure that your ballot counts. And Joe, you had asked me before when I was speaking briefly, you should know that we have a hard stop in New Jersey. All elections must be certified by November 20th, so before Thanksgiving. You know, Tom's race may take a while because of the fact that it's going to be pretty close. Cory's race, we have to assume, you know, we'll be able to certify quickly. And certainly Biden, you know, we'll be able to certify that Biden carries New Jersey easily. One of the people said it before, I don't remember who it was, it might have been Tom. We are also going to allow the County Board of Elections to start counting your ballots 10 days before November 3rd to try to slowed, or help that crush that is expected. There's about more than 6 million registered voters right now in New Jersey. So they're all receiving a mail-in ballot.
That is a crush, and that is a very good change that we can start counting the ballots early because, as we heard in the previous conversations, I think that's one area Trump intends to attack starting the evening of November 3rd. So that's really comforting. There's been a lot of talk about Pennsylvania, the naked ballot, that they've got the 2 envelope system. And I think then I was trying to recall, do we have that as well?
Well,
Don't we have a 2 envelope system?
We have, I have actually right here in front of me, we have an inner and an outer envelope. But
Right.
The outer envelope, right, that's what we're putting into the mail that's got the postage on it. The inner is the one that we sign, because what that does is it is both, you sign it to say, this is mine, I'm certified, this is my ballot, but it also is making sure that your ballot itself is private. Your name is not on here. So, we're hearing from Republicans that voting by mail is not secure, is not private, is not safe. None of those are true.
Are you going to put your ballot in the mail?
That's a good question. I'm conflicted. I'm thinking about putting it into a secure Dropbox. You can go to elections.nj.gov to do anything election related, from finding out where your secure Dropboxes are to checking on the status of your VBM. So honestly, given all of the attacks that have been going on, I am very much thinking of just driving over to the closest Dropbox and dropping it in the mail tomorrow. And I wanted, I got it today. It'll be gone tomorrow.
Great. That's great news. So we will all keep our eyes peeled. Princetonians, our election box is at 400 Witherspoon in the plaza in the old township building. So that's where I mailed my primary ballot, and I'll probably be dropping my ballot there this time as well. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Mayor Mironov, thank you very much. I really appreciate your being with us, all of our guests tonight. We'll have this information up on our website where people can go to get involved, and also from the Booker campaign, Malinowski campaign, and Bonnie Watson Coleman's campaign. So, and I'll try to get a blast out tomorrow for any of that will also include all these websites. So thank you very much. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Bill Schofield, who's been our producer tonight from Atlanta. Thank you very much. We really couldn't have done it without you. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. Get involved and let's vote and get this done.
40
Thank
days.
you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Heather.
Good, thank you. Thanks.